Now get ready. Here we go.
Okay, can you hear me? Okay. All right. So, first of all, thank you. Oh my gosh. So, first time I tried doing it from my desktop, and I've been trying a bunch of times so far. I tried like 4 times to get this to work, and all 4 times it didn't work. I don't know why. It did this exact same thing. It told me, it had the little counter in the upper left hand corner. It says you're live, and it's got time ticking on it. I'm watching myself, I'm doing stuff, and then I'm looking at the comments and everyone's still talking, and I'm just like, what is going on? So I'm messaging people, and it's like, do you guys see me at all? Everyone says, no, no. It's not. I'm like, it says I'm live. It says I'm doing stuff. I'm like, I don't understand this. So, what an absolute crap show. Oh my gosh, I cannot believe this. Oh man, it's 2 a.m. in France right now. Are you up at 2 a.m.? Man, that's crazy. Oh, so I'm going to be saying this a lot over the next little bit, but I mean, so sorry for all the technical difficulties I've had. For some reason, my everything says that I'm live and it says that I'm doing stuff, but it's not doing anything in the background. My viewers aren't connected with it at all. So I am just like, oh my gosh. Thank you so much for the, I believe it's a super thanks, the $20 super thanks. So much. Thank you very much for that. I really appreciate that. I thought it was a frantic start when I couldn't get into live myself, and I was already 5-6 minutes late, and I was like, oh my gosh, I can't even get into my own event, just to figure out that I started it and nobody sees it. And so I've been working on that for like the last 15 minutes. Oh my gosh. Oh, this is a mess. This is an absolute mess. Oh my gosh. So, man. So I'm trying to get my my head together now and basically continue on with this with a temporary. Now I'm using my phone on a mobile stand because nothing else is working for me, and it wasn't the cameras or anything else. It was just nothing else is working. I don't know why. It was really messed up. I can't. Oh, thank you so much for the $5. I really appreciate that. Man, so now I'm on my phone, so now all the messages and everything are that much harder to read. So, all right, let's see if I can get a hair of normality in this. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Ryan the Ride Mechanic channel. Finally, how the heck are you doing today? All right. Oh man, and I've had so many people. I guess still got people on the other side saying like, "Oh man, it ended. I don't know what's going on." Yep, I literally had to wipe that other one out completely and start fresh with this one. I just clicked the buttons on my phone and said go live, and it's like okay, and that's what it did. So again, thanks for everyone that's hung in there during this entire time. I hope the conversation's been good with everybody. I know I have some of the best viewers out on YouTube. You guys are all absolutely amazing, all legends. I mean, this channel has, I would say, the most engaged audience that I've seen out of everywhere else. I watch everyone's channels. I watch everything out there. You know, I got lots of time to do that. So it's like I watch everything out there and I just don't see the back and forward communication. I don't see the interest that people get from this particular channel. Oh, thank you so much again for the $5. Man, that's amazing. So much. Thank you. Some of this stuff I'm not sure how to work with it. uh, um, so I saw on there, oh, thank you so much for the $2. I appreciate that too. So I just saw a thing, and what's your next park you're going to? Actually, funny enough, tomorrow morning I'm going to my local park, which is the closest one to me, which is Adventureland in Iowa. I'm going there. Actually, SON is doing a performance there, so I actually go get to watch him perform. The park is not actually officially open yet. Park's opening weekend is actually the next weekend, which is, I believe, the 10th and the 11th. But because the SON's performing, I get to go and we get to go enjoy the park a weekend early, which is pretty cool. All right. One of the big topics out there that everyone's got, and I know it's a big thing. It's like, okay, what is going on with the Six Flags America? It's like, yeah, it kind of it shocked a lot of people. It's like, okay, but honestly, it shocked a lot of people, but didn't shock a lot of people. I know Six Flags America popped up, said, well, we're closing Six Flags America. Well, I wasn't surprised by that, honestly, because that Six Flags America has been a park that's just kind of like skated by, just right at the line of just doing okay the entire time. And they just happen to get a bunch of new stuff, which is kind of interesting. So they got new trains for their Intamin, they got some new trains for their SLC, they got all sorts of new stuff. And then it's like, by the way, this is the last year. If you haven't been out there yet, go ride some stuff because we're closing the park down. And they're not going to close the park and sell it to another company. They're closing the park completely and they are going to demolish it, essentially. So you have to start that fun, yeah, and the water park too. Thank you, Bob. For those who don't know, I also do every Saturday, I do Side Friction podcast, or most Saturdays, I should say, I do Side Friction podcast out there where I'm out and about with them. Oh, thank you very much. All right. PLCs in the car wash. Yeah, I love car washes. Always been a thing from as a kid. Pin setters and car washes has always fascinated me. It's an amazing thing. So we talked about Six Flags America in length as a topic. So for those of you who just want a little bit more and maybe are out listening to things and want to watch YouTube, which we all get that way, go check out Side Friction Podcast. It's that episode, which is 79, I think it is coming on tomorrow. And we'll be going over some Six Flags America stuff. But it's unfortunate, but as we go through stuff like that, when you get wind of another park closing down, the first thing you do is you go check out their rides package. That's what we did too. Anytime we heard about either a park getting rid of rides or closing down or something like that, we went and said, what do they have? And then we'd look for rides that we had as well. And then we'd start saying, okay, like the park where I used to work, we had the SLC. So right now I'd be sitting there going, hey, who's getting those new SLC trains from Six Flags America? Because we could really use those. That would be really awesome if we got those trains. The new Intamin trains are going to somewhere else, I'm sure. I honestly don't think that Intamin ride, the Superman ride, I don't think that's getting relocated. I would probably just expect that to be torn down and demolished because 20 plus years on that structure, it's not going to be a strong relocation. And then if you get stuff just a hair wrong when you relocate an old structure like that, it's going to crack. It's going to do all sorts of bad things. So it's best not to do that. So just my personal opinion, I think that the trains are going to get reused a lot of places. The ride's not going to. The Batwing, which is I think we were talking about, it's the last Vekoma Flying Dutchman. That thing is probably going to get torn down completely because just the age of the ride and everything, which is kind of sad because it's like that's a cool ride. Uh, the one of the original Flying Dutchman coasters from Vekoma was a very interesting thing. Pain in the butt to work on. Don't get me wrong. It was not an easy thing. The trains were kind of over safetied in my opinion, but and it made things a pain to work on. But you know, it's I don't think you're going to see that relocated. Although if any of those rides was going to be relocated turnkey, I would want to see that Batwing relocated, simply because they fit in a nice compact footprint, and Vekoma is really good about getting all their stuff on the same level. So I feel like those are easy to relocate because it's just a matter of pouring new footers all at the zero datum line, then take the thing apart, put it back together. If I was going to try to relocate any of those, it would probably be that one, even with the trains being a pain in the butt to work on. My opinion completely. And then you get stuff like, all the kiddie rides, they're probably going to get absorbed into other parks. They go super quick. Plenty of parks where they're sitting there, our kiddie ride, man, we're having trouble with this one particular really old ride. Well, we want to take that out and let me see. Oh, you've got I don't know, you got a Zamperla jumping jack, actually that would work great right over there. Most of those kids' rides are traveling rides anyway. So it's just like, yeah, take the thing apart, put it on a trailer, ship it over there, set it back up. Then you have to get the state and stuff to sign off on it. It is a new ride, and you have to have all the engineering stuff to go with it. It says you put in, perimeter fencing and all your safety checks. You have people trained, all that other stuff. So that does pose a little bit of a challenge, but I think mainly the little rides, midway rides are going to go from that park, and I think the bigger coasters, the trains, are going to go to other parks, and we're going to see a lot of those structures just unfortunately go away. But it's kind of sad, but we kind of saw some of that writing on the wall. Oh man, thank you very much. Let's see, what was your most craziest moment when you was ride mechanic for coasters? Okay, I'll get back to that one. We kind of see some of the writing on the wall actually when they started cleaning up Six Flags New Orleans. When they started cleaning up New Orleans and actually taking stuff down, I was like, wow, okay, what are they doing? It's like, well, they're clearing the land out so they can get rid of the land with nothing on it. I was like, huh. So that was the first domino to go down. That I don't know if anyone picked up on that. I didn't even pick up on it either. It wasn't until they said Six Flags America is going. I was like, oh wait, they just started tearing down stuff out of Six Flags Orleans, which has just been sitting there since Hurricane. Was that one Katrina? I think it was Katrina. Yeah. So let's see, let me answer this one. What was the craziest moment from when you were a ride mechanic for coasters? I mean, crazy moments they're really interesting because it depends on which side of crazy you're looking at. Is crazy mechanical or crazy with people? Because crazy with people, there's not really too much. I mean, I don't put really anything out of the ordinary. The one thing that always stuck out in my mind, and I don't know why, just like we had a Gerschlauer spinning coaster, and that Gerschlauer spinning coaster, I sat down in, and it was hard to get the restraint over my knees. So we were doing a fright night, and everyone's like, we had a lot of people in costumes coming up there, and here comes a guy roughly my size. I'm pretty big. I'm 6'2". Here comes a guy roughly my size in drag, wearing 5-inch heels, must have been. First thing, I know it's a costume, but still, don't wear heels to an amusement park. It doesn't work out. Insurance companies hate that, so just hold off on that for right now. But that was the thing. That was the one time I actually stood around. I was like, wait a minute. I want to see if this guy gets on the ride because I can't get the restraints barely to close over my knees. I wanted to see if this guy got his restraints to go. And the thing that pissed me off is that they did. It was fine. Sat down, pulled the restraint down, and got dispatched. I'm just like, what the heck? I must have really long legs or something because they did not like going down over my kneecaps. It was always hard. I know some rides they have you get in and like Adventureland, where I'm going tomorrow, they have a Mauer spinning coaster. I think it's by Mauer. And that one, they actually say get in and actually say crisscross your legs before you sit down because it brings your knees down lower so the restraints can go over them. So that was one. I think mechanic wise, the craziest thing that ever happened on a ride was it's just those failures. It's those weird failures that we had. Stuff where I made the wrong judgment call and something bad happened. Um, Stuff where I knew better. I knew better than to do that. You know, I was in charge of a crew doing something and they're like, we want to do it this way. And I was like, oh, yeah, okay. And it went really south, went really fast. Luckily, no one was injured, but it was like, that was crazy. Another one is sticking like forklifts and cranes and stuff way over a body of water and down to grab like a big pump or something like that. Because that's one of those ones you're standing there and just like, oh, this whole thing might fall into the water. I don't want to be here if it does. It's gonna suck. Oh, let's see here. Off topic, bowling pin, 300? No. So a while back, I went to Sun Valley Lanes and Games, which is close to me here in Lincoln, Nebraska. And they did a whole special with me where we went down and we went through and the owner of the place, John, actually showed me how a pin setter works from top to bottom, the whole alley, front to back. He showed me everything. I did a video on it. It's like a 2-hour long video. It's really amazing. I always found pin setters very fascinating. But that was one of the things because he was a fan of the channel, and he got me. This is an award pin that they do for awards. So he got me an award pin. I said, "Oh, I'm going to put that up in my videos. So that's going to be in the background." He's like, "Sure." Not getting anything out of it, but I always just think it's nice. I have the Sun Valley Lanes and Games logo facing out. That way, see it there. Again, if you've come in late, you're not late. Of course, I was very late. The story is that for those that have joined recently is that I started my original live event just a couple of minutes late. And I actually started going into stuff just to find out that even though YouTube says live and had a counter going on, no video was going out to anybody. So I actually was talking for like 5-10 minutes. And then I kind of got the idea that judging by the reactions of the threads, I was just like, wait a minute, no one can see me. And then I text somebody, I was like, can you? It's like, nope, no one can see you. It's like, crap. So I actually had to end it, restart it again. Still nobody could see me. So I ended that one and I just picked up a brand new one with no preset, nothing whatsoever. And I just did that because I was just like, ugh. So it was an absolute mess when I started the video up, and it was a half an hour late, and I do apologize. I know I'm taking time directly out of people's evenings, so I'm very apologetic for that. So sorry. Yeah, so it's been an evening. Back to Six Flags America. It's like what should be relocated to other parks? It's hard to say. It really does. It just depends on how much money they want to pay. Just like King Dakar was, it was going to be much, much cheaper just to rip and tear these things out of there than it is going to be to try to take them apart nicely and salvage them. So that'll be from another park. If another park really wants a big piece of equipment, then that's going to be part of a capital expenditure between the two parks, is going to be to gently take that stuff down and relocate it to another park. Things like I just did a video on the Funtime Starflyer, and the Starflyers, the tower that you see above the land is part of it, but then there's a very large part stuck down inside the concrete, which has to be refabricated if you were to relocate the ride because you couldn't pull that substructure out of the ground again. So, the cost of relocating these rides sometimes rival the cost of the ride brand new, which makes it not very feasible to relocate rides. especially if the rides have a bunch of years on it already, and they might already have all sorts of other problems and things like that. Let's see. Read through some of the comments here. No, yeah. Let's see, what is that? Fu Moon? Yeah, no, you didn't miss much video already. So I'm late to the game. So sorry. I did have some questions. People emailed me and stuff and put them on there, and I tried taking them down. One of them was how do wooden roller coasters not end up as a huge fire risk, especially on hot, dry environments, and how they stay good for so long with wood exposed to the elements that can degrade so quickly. Yeah, so wooden roller coasters, they use kind of a pressure treated wood, and it's typically covered in oil. And now it gets covered in oil from the train a lot of times. Some parks actually use paint, and they paint the structures. It's very common with boardwalk style rides. You know, it's a white wooden roller coaster. It's all painted. Well, the paint actually locks the moisture in. Another thing that they do is they actually water the rides at nighttime. Not every night, but a lot of nights. You actually go out in the middle of the night and hear sprinklers running, and the sprinklers are actually mounted all over the structure on wooden roller coasters, and they water the wood. So that keeps the wood from drying out, which is where you get the fire hazard if you get dried out wood. So it keeps the wood from drying out, so it keeps it nice and moist. But the thing that it's really doing is that wood soaks the water back up and it makes the wood still pliable to bend and shake and move around, because if the board gets too dry, it gets really stiff, and then once it gets too stiff, it breaks. And that is a key thing, is if you start breaking wood on wooden roller coasters, if you start breaking a lot of wood in certain sections, you should check and see it's typically the wood's too dry. And it's like you need to step up the watering efforts to water that back down. If the wood's painted, there's not really too much you can do about it. It's a double-edged sword. You can seal in the moisture that's inside of there, but then once that wood starts to dry and then it starts to rot, you can't do anything else to it. You end up having to replace it and repaint it again. But it can happen, especially if you get wheels and stuff that lock up and go around, and you start getting metal wheels dragging across the metal road plate and stuff along the track. It will cause sparks, and it could catch fire. Last year, I believe it was last year, remember Wicker Man? Wicker Man actually caught fire out there, which is kind of funny because Wicker Man has a lot of simulated fire on that ride. And then one day it wasn't simulated, it was real. So yeah, the wooden roller coasters though aren't that much of a fire hazard to start with. And then in areas where you have like tunnels and things like that, a lot of places require via code wides that you run sprinkler systems on the inside of them to keep, in case a fire does break out, though it's able to actually put the fire out of there. Another question I got, when a ride's built and handed over to the park, does it come with a warranty? It's like, gone over this on a video not too long ago about buying a new ride. The warranty is what you've negotiated for a ride. Now, when you buy a ride, the contract is typically a blank piece of paper. That's all it is. There's nothing more than that on there. It's just like most contracts. The first thing that's stipulated is how the company is going to get paid between the other company. That's the first thing they put down in that contract. But if you want a warranty on your ride, which some rides come with a fairly extensive warranty where they might back up their parts for 5 years and some labor for a couple years after that. Someone dropped a vape on Wicker Man's wheel. Ooh, that's no good. But yeah, if you want to negotiate a warranty, you can negotiate a warranty, and the terms of it is completely up to you. Either way, you're going to pay for that warranty. So take it for what it's worth. Honestly, I don't put too much faith into warranties because I know the crew is going to work on it and they're going to work their magic before anybody else does. And most of the time, the stuff that ends up getting involved is typically not really worth fighting for anyway. If I have a motor gearbox break like a booster wheel, it's like honestly, or probably within the first 5 years, I'm not really going to be going back to the manufacturer of the ride. I'm going to be going back to the manufacturer of that motor gearbox, which most of the time would be like SEW. Where you would win in that scenario is if SEW said, oh no, we had that proprietary thing in there from that manufacturer, then you go back to the manufacturer and like, okay, this broke, what is it? And then most of the time you have to ship the parts and pieces back to them. And then and you still have to buy, you have to buy the brand new thing straight out and put it back on the ride to get your ride up and running. But then in the background, while no one's talking about it or thinking about it, in the background, that's when they determine whether that part was under warranty or was not under warranty. And then simply purchasing back there had a PO purchase order set out to that company for a new motor. They had $9,000 set out for a new motor, $9,000. And then if it was on warranty, they simply just don't pay that PO. They just say, okay, we're canceling the PO, and then that manufacturer has to pay for that, which a lot of times I still be like, well, you guys have to pay for shipping because shipping's not included. But yeah, that's some fun stuff trying to get warranties figured out. And sometimes you get into a real pissing match with warranties. By that I mean like you can have a serious problem with the ride and be like, hey, this is your problem. And then the manufacturer might be like, no, it's not, that's your problem. And you sit there and literally bicker back and forth till eventually the ride doesn't work. And you continue to bicker back and forth until eventually you have to do something like hire a third-party consultant to come in and basically say, okay, you're right or you're right. One of the two, depending on what it is. That's what I really think happened with the old steel curtain out there. I think they got in a pissing match between S&S and the park, and basically had to hire a third-party company to come in and figure out who won the competition, essentially. Who could pee farther out on that side of the ride? We're going to figure this out today, and then someone's going to get the bill at the end of it, and it's going to be amazing. Yeah, shipping not included. Bob picked up on that. That's going to be a lot funnier tomorrow. Let's see. I'm going to try to read some of these comments. I'm sorry I haven't been reading a lot of comments out there. Again, I switched to the phone for the live stream and it's really small. I feel like I need to put on glasses. Should I put on glasses? These are my glasses. If you haven't seen me a video of glasses on, this is it. And now we can talk about the serious issues. Yes, that's right. I do believe that if you had this ride over here and that ride, oh, wait, no, Skyline still sucks. We're going to put that out there right now. There we go. Nope, Skyline still sucks. I wouldn't, no. That's not a roller coaster. That's a flat ride. Any ride mechanics work directly for a park or are they third-party company? Most ride mechanics are hired directly by the park and they typically are employed by the park. There are a very extremely slim number of mechanics out there that do freelance work essentially, and they are used as kind of temporary, just going around, and they get hired. They get hired out for parks that are doing special overhauls and stuff like that. But parks don't like using those people because it's like hiring another company. It's not quite just another mechanic. It's a whole other company which comes with a different set of rules, a different set of insurance, a different set of liabilities. Parks just don't like doing it. So they would much rather anytime hire their own mechanics in to work on their own stuff. And then if it was an outside company, this is where I would work. Like, let's say Zamperla came in. We were talking about this on the podcast the other night, and say Zamperla came in to run a park. It's like, okay, then I would hire Zamperla's mechanics to work on that because Zamperla's already running it. It's their thing, it's their stuff. Let them deal with it. I don't have to deal with it. I could still have my own mechanics, there's nothing wrong with that, but there I would want the person who is doing the operational maintenance of the park taking care of that function if it wasn't me, if I was just the operator of the park, basically. Let's see. Open the stream on your computer and read it there. Oh man, people are brilliant. More brilliant than I am. Let's see if I can figure this out. I don't know. Can I figure this out? We're gonna figure this out. Let's figure this out. Let's see here. Do. All right, let me see if I can figure this out here. Can Ryan the Ride Mechanic figure out where his own stream is? Now, this is also coming from the guy who couldn't start his own stream earlier. Like, I'm definitely going to have to do this a couple times in practice to see if I actually have all the bugs worked out before I try this fiasco again. And let me know, by the way, let me know if you want to see if this is useful. If you're like, no, this is just crap, don't do this again. I do kind of enjoy stuff like this because it gets the it gets people that don't normally have a chance to do this stuff a chance to get in and say something live. If you wanted to do other things, I feel bad because I have a lot of viewers and subscribers that are over in Europe. And I feel really bad about that because it's the middle of the night. I know I've seen some of my viewers are like, oh, yeah, it's 2 o'clock in the morning over here. It's like, yeah, sorry. But the only thing I could think of would be like a Saturday or Sunday morning stream, which would put you like Saturday or Sunday afternoon. And I just don't know, would anybody be interested in that in the afternoon? Evening time is pretty safe for a lot of people. I mean, I guess I could just adjust that for a Saturday evening. But then my thought is, well, everyone's going to be at the park. Everyone's going to be doing their own thing at the park. I'm not sure. Yeah, that kind of works a little bit. Too much time spent away. I'm really going to have to figure this out for next time. Yeah, it's 2 a.m. right now. Ride souvenir collection. Don't have too much of a ride souvenir collection. I really do kick myself in the butt for doing this stuff. Is it possible to retrack Expedition Everest? Disney's Expedition Everest? I guess that's the only one that I know of. I guess you could retrack anything if you want, especially if you got Disney money throwing things around. Like, it's good to have Disney money, man. But so I spent 14 years working on rides. I had so many pictures on my phone that don't mean anything to everybody else. And they were extreme close-up broken things, like really doesn't mean a hill of beans to anybody else. They weren't good wide-angle cinematic pictures where it's like, ooh, this looks really nice. Nope, it was like right on top of the piece. It was like, there it is, right? See, that's the piece right there, You would take something and you get this picture that looks like this. It's like, yep, there it is. You see, it's like right there in that corner. But I also think of like when I do these explanations and stuff and I'm like, oh, if I have this, like I've had to go on Amazon and buy like old proximity sensors, and it's like I didn't want to spend a ton of money on them, so I only spent like $10 on a cheap little knockoff proximity sensor just to get the idea of like, hey, this is what it is, this is what it does. And I like the amount of times that I've thrown away $300, $400, Pepperfuge proximity sensors and things like that. I was like, man, if I had like wheel bearings, man, if I just had said save some of that stuff, I mean, I might have been divorced by now because like my wife would have been like, you're not keeping that stuff. And I'd be like, oh, but I really want to. It's junk. Throw it away. I was like, oh, okay, I'll throw it away. But yeah, the amount of stuff that I've gotten rid of and then decided to do this. And one of the only reasons that I can do this is because I no longer work for a park. Most all of you know that. It's a conflict of interest with the park going. So a lot of people have contacted me and say, hey, I want to do a channel just like yours, but I still work at a park. And I always caution people about that. I say, you want to take it up with the park first before you try it, because I'm really sure that is a conflict of interest and the park will tell you no. And if you do it anyway, you'll get fired. Like, that's the one thing I don't want ever from this channel is I don't want anyone to get fired over it, you know? So there's plenty of things I do as soon as people say stuff and I'm like, okay, people will tell me information and I'm like, I'm not going to use that because nothing against the person, but if I said that, then that's a direct link to somebody else. And I'm like, I'm not going to say that and put other people's jobs and livelihoods in danger, because no one, at the end of the day, no one needs to get fired from a job over a YouTube channel, you know? That's ridiculous. Nobody needs to do that. Yeah. Yeah, so Bob was just saying that the history of Side Friction podcast is that he was doing another podcast before, and those the people that were working on that with him went to go back to work for a park. They weren't working at a park, but then they went back to work for it, and it was a conflict of interest, so they had to stop that podcast. And because of that, Side Friction podcast was born. And it's really fun. I enjoy doing it. It's one night a week, and I get to branch out on the news and stuff that's happening out there, and I get to talk with people that really know a lot about stuff, and it just puts into a sharp relief of what I don't know. You know, I don't know a lot of the history. I don't know a lot of that stuff. And it's like, and I'm sitting there going, really? That was a thing, huh? Oh, okay. All right. That's cool. All right. Let's see. Let me see if I can answer another question here. Even though there's a Top Thrill 2. Hey, Top Thrill 2 is opening tomorrow. Anyone planning on going out there riding? I hear it's supposed to be just a storm out there tomorrow. Even though it was never publicly said what exactly was wrong with Top Thrill 2, do you think whatever modifications Zamperla completed are the ultimate fix to the ride? And that's a tough question because, yeah, I mean, I do think whatever Zamperla did is the true fix. I don't think this is a revision 2 fix and then, you know, next year we're going to see a revision 3 fix. I don't think that's the way it's going to go. I do believe that they've got it nailed down now and they've got it all figured out. They've had a lot of engineering working on it. Everyone's been working on the thing. And if this doesn't work from here, you know, if this whole thing doesn't work with Top Thrill 2, then it is going to be like they're going to probably end up tearing the ride out. And then that will go down as a failure on Zamperella's part. But even then, it won't be a true failure because Zamperla took over Entenmann's ride. So, yeah, kind of give and take with that thing. You say, well, what was the failure? The failure was Zamperla couldn't successfully take over Entenmann's ride. And if it works, then you could say Zamperla did successfully take over Entenmann's ride. And I'm not sure if Ohio gave the all clear on the ride. I'm assuming they have. That probably would have been done, honestly, weeks ago, especially with Cedar Point saying that it's going to be opening tomorrow. I'm assuming that was done a long time ago. I've heard that a train was hitting the LSMs on the track. I mean, that's not uncommon for a lot of rides. Any ride, you can go out to pretty much any LSM ride and look at it, or LIM, LSM ride and look at it, and those stators have been hit multiple times by things. It doesn't take much. The tolerance is so tight on those things. Most of the time, you just get the train out of alignment a little bit, and you end up smacking stators all the way down, taking chunks out of them, big black scrape marks. If you're working at a park, it's not white paint on the outside of that. It's a thermo style paint. The paint actually transfers heat. It rejects the heat from the stator itself. So you can't just take white paint and put it back on those stators. If anyone's from a park saying like, oh yeah, we just paint ours back to white, it's like, don't do that. You're insulating the stator. It's not a good thing. Don't do it. It takes some really special, what's it called, thermochromatic paint. You have to pretty much buy it from Intrasys and put it on there. It's really special stuff. Yeah. No, I haven't. No, I have not ended up contacting El Toro Ryan. I heard he was looking for someone with information on impulse coasters, which I have plenty of, but no, I have not done that yet. This video on Twister, employees riding TT2. So it's, yeah, okay, yeah. So if employees are riding on that thing, then yeah, it's been cleared. Otherwise, they wouldn't. If a ride's typically not cleared to run, then they won't even let employees ride on it. The manufacturer working on the ride would be able to go on it for testing purposes only. But if it wasn't certified by the local governing bodies, they wouldn't let employees on it either. Yeah. What do you think of Wrath at my home park, Six Flags Great America? Oh, that looks like a fun ride. There's a couple of Wrath of, I can't say the name. I'm gonna butcher it. Wrath of Rakshaka. You know what I'm talking about. Come on, everyone on here does. That looks like a fun ride, and it's actually close to me. It's only what is it? I think 9 hours away by car, so it's closer to me. I go, but my June trip coming up, I'm doing a lot of I'm going out to everything. That's not one of the parks, but I'm hoping I'm going to be at Cedar Point. So I'm not only hoping to get on the infamous Top Thrill 2 and get on this reverse spike launch ride, but I'm hoping by that time, Siren's Curse is open. Because Siren's Curse is in a race right now with Circuits of the America to see who can drop that train down that track first, because we've got 2 Vekoma tilt coasters now in the US. Neither one of them is running. But whoever gets to tilt that track first and drop a train down it, they will have the first running tilt track coaster in America. So that'll be an interesting little title that they can hold. Oh yeah, we had the first one. We had the very first one. And the other one's just going to be like, ours was close, but it was second, whoever it is. But that's a close race for those two. Let's see. Why do they have to put unpronounceable names on new rides? You know what? I'm right there with you. Why can't we call rides like Bob's Ride? Why can't we do something like that? Why can't we just make the ride, it's like, oh, this is Timmy's Twister. This is Bob's Ride. But we got to do all these like Wrath of Rakshaka and all these other things that I can't pronounce, but I can't pronounce a lot of things. I mean, most of you have seen me try to pronounce city names, and we all know how bad that turns out, right? That's not a good thing. Ugh. It's a bad thing every time I try to do that. Silver Dollar City, I would love to go there, but I'm not planning on it this year. This year I'm planning on, let's see if I could even name the parks. I'm gonna go to Cedar Point. Then we're going down to, what is that? Oh, Hershey, Cedar Point, Hershey Park. Then I wanted to go to Dorney Park, but honestly, I only wanted to go to Dorney Park to ride the Demon Drop because that's one of the original Intamin drop towers, and I just love those contraptions. They're so amazing. But I might go there and ride that, but I'm also really also trying to make the same stop at Knoebels to ride Phoenix and some stuff over there because I've got to go to Knoebels. It's just one of those things. So it's like I'm trying to get to those parks, and then we're heading up to Darien Lake, I believe it is. And then very exciting, I've never been to Canada before, but we're going to Canada, and then we're going to go to Canada's Wonderland, and I'm hoping to get on the infamous Alpenfury over there. So I've been watching the construction on that. That looks like a super cool ride. I really hope to get on that one. I hope that's up and running. And then we're going to swing over the top of the lakes and come back down and go to Michigan's Adventure, and then back home. It's very fun because I'm trying to work out a thing with our local Vallis Pumpkin Patch here. Vallis Pumpkin Patch close to me. I don't know if some of you seen the video I did on that. It's only open a month and a half out of the year for fall, but it houses Nebraska's tallest and fastest roller coaster. That's right, tallest and fastest roller coaster in Nebraska is at Vallis Pumpkin Patch, and that is a family Zamperla coaster. It's a Zamperla family coaster. That's officially the tallest and fastest roller coaster in Nebraska. it beats out the Wacky Worm and the Crazy 8 over at the Pizza Machine Factory. Oh man. Now, yeah, that trip around to North America, and that's going to be fun, but that's going to be expensive too. Like, oh my gosh, so much money doing that. I do plan on making posts for all this stuff. I plan on making videos and all that, all those things. You know, I don't really quite know what to do with them, but it's like a couple weeks from now, 2 weeks from now, I'm actually going to be going back out to California, go to Disneyland for a couple days again. That's a park we always love to go to. So far, we've made it there. My wife and I have gone every year since we've been married, and we just passed 20 years. So actually, before that, too, I think we're on a 23-year streak going to Disney parks. I know that's a lot of money. That's probably why my credit card bills are so high, but it's good stuff. We like doing it. Yeah, being a coaster enthusiast in Omaha does suck. Yeah, that's true. You want roller coasters? They're 2.5 or 3 hours away. You pick the direction, but you got to go 3 hours to go hit any of them. Worlds of Fun or Adventureland. Those are your nearest ones. Yeah, thank you. Let's see. Always wondered if it was possible to fit a lap bar restraint to a coaster train that currently has over the shoulder. If so, would it be a hefty cost, and would parks do that kind of thing? Basically, to change that, you're not really looking at a change. Let's go from like an over the shoulder lap harness to like a seat lap bar, because the way to do that is you have to pin the legs in, and it requires all sorts of engineering. So typically the way you would do something like that is you would have to go back to someone that offers retrofits, and you'd pretty much have to build a brand new train, or at least the top half of the train, to pin the rider in properly to where you can get it down to that other style. Impossible? No, it's not impossible. Costly? Yeah, costly, very costly. And then you have to ask, what is the park going to get out of that? If it's going to be something that sells tickets at the front gate, then yeah, they could do that and advertise it and get people in. But if it's just something like, it would be nice to put this on there for a ride that never has more than a 10-minute queue line wait for it, there's no return on investment there. They're not gonna crank out, $750,000 to just put a better feeling restraint on something that has no line to work with to start. Let's see. What has Vekoma done in recent years that has allowed them to put out some of the best coasters that are super smooth compared to their old rough SLC. Gave them so much bad reputation. Is it the track, trains, tolerance, combination of all of that? What is it? That's basically track manufacturing now. So when they were making the old structures where it looked like a kind of like a giant C like that, where the rails were down at the bottom and the track was shaped like that, there's all sorts of welding stresses involved in putting it all together. Everything is tube and plate steel that holds those rails. So when you're welding that together, it's actually really easy to get that out of whack, and then the rails start to twist and bend. Not to mention the old style machines they would use to make those tracks as well. When they went to curve the rail, it would pretty much take a round rail and smush it into an oval, which means their tolerances went all out of whack throughout the whole thing anyway. So they're using newer stuff to bend the rails, which you could still use that on an old SLC. You could use newer technology to bend the rails and put them on. But by the time you're done welding them in that big C frame that those old coasters are built like, you've now warped that tube right back out of all of its straightness. So putting the backbone into the center, where you have the guide wheels on the outside, like I'd say a traditional coaster now, that's pretty much what fixes most of that stuff. There's less flex, less movement. Everything is much tighter together. The precision is more, is the tolerance is tighter running down the center. It's a better thing, the newer way they do it. Let's see. Flash vertical velocity is absolutely amazing. I've seen lots of videos of that running, and that looks like a genuinely fun roller coaster. If I was there, I would definitely go on that thing. And that kind of brings up, we're talking about Six Flags America earlier. We still have Six Flags Great Adventure, where we're waiting to see this amazing record-breaking thing that's going to take the place of 7 rides or whatever it is they took out of there. Still waiting to see that. Now, is it coming? I really hope it's coming, because what if if it is, man, they've got this something amazing. Unfortunately, trying to be optimistic about it, they haven't announced it yet, and that's not a good thing. And it's only not a good thing because unless they have broken ground on it already and just didn't tell anybody that they were doing it, they haven't announced it. We don't know what's going on. I don't. If it really is that big of a record-breaking deal that's going to go back in Six Flags Great Adventure, I don't think it's going to be done for the 2026 season. At this point, if it's that big where they had to do this much work to it and they haven't broken ground on it yet, I think you're going to be looking at the 2027 season by the time that thing actually goes in there. Which maybe I'm wrong. It's just speculation. I got nothing else backing that up. 100% speculation. But maybe I'm wrong with that, but it just seems like something that big where they had to do that much demolition work to prep the area for it either should have been announced by now, or they should have had ground broken for it already, and you should start to see some sort of infrastructure work happening to prepare for whatever it is coming in there. Let's see. Haven't seen, well, we don't know about surveying marks. Surveying markers are really, people put a lot of, I think they read too far into survey markers when they pop up. One of the things is people would always take pictures when the survey marker pops up and goes, oh, what are they going to do? What's going on here? I can't tell you the amount of times we had the park surveyed in all sorts of different spots because we were simply going back to dig a hole somewhere. We had to get into a pipe, not ride related at all. We just needed to get to a pipe, just a sewer drain or something like that. We had to dig down to it. Well, one of the things is you have to mark out all the utilities. You have to pay a company to come in and mark all the utilities in the area. So you make sure that where you're digging down, you're not going to hit anything other than what you expect that you're going to hit. So parks get marked all the time. So I don't, honestly, when I see survey markers pop up somewhere, it doesn't mean anything to me because they have no context. It's like, oh, a survey marker popped up. It's like they were trying to relocate the power lines for the new Dippin' Dot stands. Like, Doesn't mean anything to me. But a lot of people read too far into that stuff, in my opinion. It's like, yeah, utility marking is a thing. Yeah, Ryan the pipe mechanic. Yeah, yeah, it's funny. We were putting in a water ride. I've told this story before. And it's just a big, huge, round, like swimming pool basin that was sitting in the ground. They came out and they marked it and they said, we know of this one pipe that runs through here. So in the bid project, it was, we got to go down and we got to cap it on both ends. It's a deadline, blah, blah, blah. That's it. Yep, that's it. Nothing else was down there. We hit five sewer mains. We hit 5 independent sewer mains in that one area that the surveying did not find. It was like every time they stuck the backhoe down in the ground, we hit a sewer main. A lot of them were abandoned, but it was ridiculous what was underneath that ground. It was so ridiculous. It was like, oh, the survey people knew what they were doing, but I don't know. They just, it wasn't on their stuff. They couldn't find it. And yeah. Yeah, Dippin' Dots is brought here from aliens. That's some good stuff, though. As much as I don't think I rag on Dippin' Dots. I mention them a lot just because I think it's funny. But yeah, Dippin' Dots is, flash frozen ice cream. Take ice cream, they spray it through a nozzle until it basically turns into like a mist. And then they spray it with, I believe it's liquid nitrogen at the same time in the same mist. And this stuff basically solidifies and falls out. You get Dippin' Dots. Let's see here. Yeah. Man. Oh, did Alan Bradley ever issue a part revision for the Guardmaster buckle issue? No, they never did. Part of that is because, and this was from my Starflyer video that I just recently put out. And part of that, like I said in that video, those units are safety rated. And I'm good friends with controls engineers and stuff like that that design systems according to those safety ratings, and those are the components they use to verify to outside companies that these rides, these systems, that way they operate, they are safe, and this is the way they function. And unfortunately, Allen Bradley can't stand behind their product if you go through and you take it apart and you replace it with another one and put it back together. Essentially, you can say as a mechanic that it still works, but from Allen Bradley's point of view, the safety rating of that device is now gone because you've now taken different parts and put them together. So no, it was simply just you have to buy a new control module for those. Every time a seatbelt failed, you had to buy a new box and put it in there, which we did. That was one thing. You can't argue with safety. You can't argue with insurance and stuff. Just saying that it costs a lot of money or it's hard to replace is not an option. I mean, think about that if you ever had an accident. Just out on if you're driving out on the road and you got into a car accident and someone died from the car accident, you hit the brakes and you drifted right into the back of a car and you killed somebody because your brakes failed. And when they looked at it, they said, well, you knew your brakes were bad. And you said, yeah. Why didn't you replace your brakes? Well, it was hard. Or it cost a lot of money to replace the brakes, so I just didn't do that. Well, that's just negligence, and you'll never get that person back either based on your negligence. So you'll never have a park or anybody stand up and try to we're gonna take the cheap way out. And if they do, that's not a place you should be working for or going to. I wouldn't support that at all. SNS Fourth Dimension X2, expensive to purchase and maintain. I'm not sure about the purchasing cost for that ride, X2. Maintain, yeah, really expensive to maintain. a lot. It's like I even have a hard time grasping the size of all that stuff, just because it is so big. I would say X2, like down at Magic Mountain in Jamaica in Japan. I know the one in Japan's a lot shorter than X2 is, but I would say X2 is probably about, I would say it's about 4 trains worth of stuff put together in one train. It's a lot. So yeah, I would say, I would probably venture to say to like refurbish one of those trains is probably 400,000, $500,000 to refurbish a train each year. I mean, that's a money eater right there. It's going to eat the money. It does draw people, and I mean, as soon as that gate opens, everyone runs to X2. That being said, we don't know how much longer that ride has, right? Because in the world of we're getting rid of these high dollar money eaters that the parks have, X2 is up there, and I'm not sure how safe that thing is. Not safety wise, but I mean from the Six Flags hatchet that might drop. Like I'm not sure how safe that thing is because it does eat up a lot of money, a lot of time, a lot of resources. But man, it has the queue line. It never does not have a queue line. And like honestly, if I'm there and it's a 2.5 hour queue, I am going out of my way to purchase the flash pass to get on that ride. I mean, the thing has to make a lot of money just at the front gate. Yeah, I that type of stuff says like that tells me like X2 is safe. It's not going anywhere. But I also didn't think King Ka was going to get ripped out either. I was wrong about that. Right? It's all just speculation. I got nothing else going on. Just speculation. Yeah, Superman escaped from Intamin at Magic Mountain there. That one had the writing on the wall that it was gone a long time ago. A long time ago. It had the writing on the wall that it was gone. I don't know if they could redo anything with that, but yeah, Superman was not a good thing there. Yeah, escape from Intamin. That's one of my favorite phrases to use. All right. Let's see. I've been going for about an hour. Honestly, I could sit here for a lot longer, but it's getting late for me. I'm early to bed, but I early to rise as well. I think I'm going to call it for the evening. I do appreciate everybody coming by and stopping in. Thanks for those that are overseas and stuff. And it's the absolute, well, I'm sorry, good morning, because it's morning time now for you. Like, might as well put on some coffee, probably start your day. For everyone, Midwest area, good night. Everyone on the West Coast, it's like have a good dinner. Good night after that. Thank you so much for coming. I really do appreciate it, and I do apologize for that absolute fiasco of a start where I had restarted the thing 4 different times before I had to go to my phone. I really apologize for that. I have to find out what happened there. All right. Now, I got to see if I can figure out how to end this thing too. This might be a whole different thing. I wonder how I do in this. Yeah, this is going to take me another half an hour to end it. All right, I'm going to try this. So if this works, stay off the air gates. Bye.